This was a claim that I went out to, and we're going to say it was for John Smith. And for this particular claim, I had scoped for wind damage, tornadic damage, all of that. This is a property I went out to. Okay. Went out to it more recently on the 18th of September. And it was for a windstorm that they were claiming occurred sometime on September 2023. Okay. Easy way for you guys to check if a windstorm occurred on 2023 is to go to wonderground.com. Okay, so now I'm going to share that screen with you. Okay, so on this site, guys, we're able to see what the wind speeds were on the data loss that was reported. It's a very popular site that's used. And get this, ding, 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 it's free. Okay, so as we go here, first thing I do on this website, I go right under here to historical weather reports. It is under more historical weather reports. Second thing I do is I type in the zip code for the property that I performed the inspection at. In this case, that was in York, and that zip code is 17402. So all I'm going to put here is 17042. And then I'm going to put the date of loss, which was September 7th. And we're about to see the power of Wonder Underground. Was there any wind actually reported at this property on the data loss? We're about to find out. According to their report, we did have some max wind speeds of 8 miles per hour. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean the buck stops there? No. As we all know, 8-mile-per-hour winds probably are not high enough sustained winds to rip shingle off a roof. Am I correct or am I wrong? I think that a lot of you would say, well, Mike, you're probably right. 8-mile-per-hour winds is probably about the speed that I jog at. Okay, and so what we would do in that situation is we would say, okay, well, let's take a look at it here under wind gust and see what they might have had under that. And as we can see, nothing. So what do we do there? Do we say, Mike, does that mean that they just committed fraud? No. Their date of discovery might have been the 7th of September, but the date of loss might have been a date prior to or after. It could even be after. So here we go. We're going to look at this, and we're going to change this to monthly. I now want to change this whole report to monthly. There we go. It was giving me a little bit of an issue there. But we finally got it to download. Now what do we see here? Well, Mike, turns out, oh yeah, get ready for that. Wonder Underground has ads. Ads out the butt. But here we go. So wind speeds, miles per hour. Well, Mike, looks like they did clock. Wind gust of 29 miles per hour. Okay. So when was that? As we go down this sheet here, you can see these dates of loss. So the claim was filed on the 7th of September, or date of discovery was 7th of September. They contacted insurance company probably on the 11th of September, whatever. I called the insured on the 11th of September. So what does that mean? That means that, we know that they discovered this on the 7th. But does that mean that that's when the wind happened? Well, if we're looking right here in this column under wind speed, all free, provided by Wonderground, okay, we could see that, wow, Mike, it does look like they had some pretty strong winds. But the strongest of those winds, between the date that it was discovered and the date that is considered maybe the date of loss, that, wow, this storm might have occurred on the 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, or hell, we even had 17-mile-an-hour per winds on the 9th. So what does that mean? That just means that we did have winds that, if strong enough, whether the roof was installed properly or not, that were able to lift a shingle we're able to damage a shingle. But if we're looking at everything here, we could see that on the 9th of September, that was supposed to highlight the 9th. Excuse me, the 7th. Then on the 7th of September, that, probably not. So all I'm going to say is data in my GLR, I'm just going to, and why this is important is my data discovery, the date that I discovered this, or the date the insured discovered this, might have been on the 7th. However, the storm might have occurred on the 4th. It might have even occurred on the 3rd. So I want you guys to just get an understanding as that weather reports are important because the date of discovery is not oftentimes the date of loss, the date that the storm actually occurred. Okay, so here we go. We're going to go back now to this screen because today's main focus is not about that. Today's main focus today is actually about photo reporting. So here we have 76 photos. And these are photos that I have just taken from Xactimate. Now, this claim's already done, but these, I have duplicated the claim in order to use it for an exercise because it's fresh. It's something that's new, something that is in my area. And it was just done a few days ago. But as you can see, I took 76 photos, okay? And these 76 photos were taken out of order, but if you use Xactimate Professional version, which I use on my cell phone device, so if you have a cell phone, you can download Xactimate on your cell phone, and on the go, you can create folders in Xactimate Professional on your phone. You can create a folder for the roof, create a folder for, and what do I mean by folders? These are all folders. Do you notice that they're not capitalized? That's because I created them on the fly. I created all these folders while I was in the field to make the process organized. But even if the photos were taken out of order, I knew they were still organized because they were all going into a folder that was designated for them, whether that be a roof accessory, whether that be, front elevation. So these photos weren't all taken in this order, but because I used my mobile device and I used Xactimate Professional, also known as Xactimate Mobile, I was able to take these photos on the fly like this and classify them into a grouping. Now, what we're going to do today is we're going to say all these photos came in like random. How are we going to classify it? Whether you use Xactimate Professional or whether you use Xactimate Desktop, it doesn't matter today. We are going to take all these photos as if they came in as this, and we're going to go through it together in the order in which your photos should be taken. First photo. What I like to do is, first thing I like to do is, all your photos like to come in like this. They all like to come in as like that, right? And that doesn't look too pretty, because what happens is when I go to the print screen and I want to see these images as what they look like in a photo report view, it's not pretty. And what I mean by that is I'm going to wait till that screen pops up for the photo report. It's still generating that, but it's going to have the image name and everything else right there next to the photo number, and it just looks all out of sorts. It doesn't look organized, and I don't like that, and the insurance carrier doesn't like that. Now, this is one of those things that you can call a software glitch. You can call it whatever you want, but it's one of those things that has to be changed if you're following the Adjuster U way. So surprisingly, I'm still waiting for these photos to generate, and it might be because I have multiple screens opened up. Okay, I got it to load. Here we go. So I'm going to share that screen with you guys. So you can look here. It is blatantly obvious what is wrong with these image names. Is that a picture of the risk? Yes. Is that a picture of the risk mailbox? Yes. Does this look very organized to you? Does that seem to make sense to a reviewer? No. It's all over the place. The number is after the image name, and then it just says the image picture number. And so, you believe it or not, there's a lot of adjusters that this is good enough, but this is not good enough for us. What we want to see, okay, for this picture, and we're going to go back now, is the image number before the image name, and for the image name to be capitalized. And then if you have a description, to then put that description here. We also want to see who took the photo. I don't know if the picture was taken by you. You need to put in there the picture was taken by you. If it was taken by Ben, if it was taken by John, or taken by Kurt, I need to see that in the image name, taken by, and the date it was taken. You'd be surprised. There's a lot of images that you'll drop in here where it might be an image that the insured provided you, the contractor provided you, but it does not provide a taken by or a date taken. And you have to fill those fields in. So here we go. We're going to go back now to that photo report section. Okay, so here we are. So the first thing that you're going to want to do when you input, when all these photos come in, whether you do it my way or not, if you don't do it my way, that's fine. That means your images, you are importing your images directly from maybe a cloud, okay? Maybe you're importing from Microsoft Cloud, from iCloud, from another cloud, or you're just doing it directly from your SD card. That's fine. Let's do this together and see how we would label this if we do that. So I'm selecting the first one, going down to the bottom one. And the first thing I'm doing is I am deleting the image name. Press the space bar on your keyboard, delete the image name. Why are you doing that, Mike? Well, I'm doing that so that when I go back and I look at my photo report and I see my photo report, that I don't see this. I don't want to see it like that. I want to see it in a way to where it is clear, it is concise. And I'm not saying risk, one, image, 1, 2, 3. Come on, let's be professional here. If we are putting together a report, let's get rid of all that mumbo jumbo and let's be concise about what we mean. So we're going to move back here to the regular screen. And you're going to see the very first thing I'm going to do. Well, I'm going to call this photo risk. I'm going to call this one address. And I'm going to move those into that folder. Well, Mike, why did you move those? Why did you move those out of the estimating folder that you created specifically for them? Because Xactimate is finicky. Xactimate is weird. If I use Xactimate and I create folders, it is not going to put the photo number in front of the photo name. It's going to say the photo name and then the photo number. And if you are OCD like me, or if you're like half of the reviewers that are looking at these files that don't understand Xactimate, if you see a photo name and then the photo number, that does not click with you. It doesn't click with me. And so what I do is I use these folders on the fly. I'm out there, right, with my, my cell phone or whatever I'm using. And I'm like, okay, there it is. I'm taking this picture here. There we go. Taking this picture here. Here we go. Okay. But when I come back, I am putting all these into I'm labeling the photo and I'm putting them in the sequential order that I think is best. And so this is an area that can confuse a lot of people. Mike, why wouldn't you use these folders? It's because if I use these folders, as you guys could see, what bothers me is when we look at them, look at how they pop up. It says risk image 2, And then the image name, I don't like that. Now look at what we're going to see when you can see what happens. And I know a lot of gears are turning. I know. But guys, this is all about presentation. Presentation is what we see on this right here, this PDF. And this does not look very presentable. Roof, 3, image, 1, 2, 2, 3. What does look very presentable is as we go back to this screen and as we can see what Mike does in his photo report. First thing he did, risk, address. Second thing he did, roof, boom. Third thing he did, front roof. Now I know you're thinking, why are you pulling them out of the folders? Pulling them out of the folders because I don't want them to look like this. You will see in a minute what I mean by that. And I keep emphasizing that. So here we go. We're moving on to the next section. Left roof, okay? Here we go. Here we go, rear roof. Right roof. Guys, whether you use Xactimate mobile or not, this is how you want to label your photos. What is great about this is teachable for both people, whether you are Xactimate mobile friendly or not. Guys, wait and see. We haven't even begun to provide a description for each photo. Wait till you see how absolutely beautiful the difference is, guys. So here we go. Just going to make sure, okay. Claim reports, preview. Now, the second time you try to load a photo report, it always goes faster. It's amazing. But guys, here we go. You're going to be amazed at what Mike Makula is talking about here. Look at this. I have now taken all those folders I created, and I said, okay, let's put an image name to them all. Look at this. Okay, so I'm going to actually see if I am able to, well, I don't think I'm able to double up per page. That's what I was hoping for, but this is wonderful. So we can see here, first photo, right? Risk photo, overview of the risk. Second photo, identified the address, verified I'm at the right property. That's the contractor's vehicle in the background. Third one, pitch factor. Fourth one, number of layers and if there's drip edge. If there's ice and water shield. If the gutter is installed over the drip edge, does it have to be detached and reset? The next one, what does the shingle gauge say that the type of shingle is? The overhang measurement. Does anybody here know why an overhang measurement might be important? And if you do, that means you might know roofing if you are in the north. The hint is, if you live in the Northeast, why would an overhang measurement be important? Ice and water shield, according to building code in the Northeast, or any climates where you reach freezing temperatures, requires that ice and water shield be installed 24 inches in from the exterior wall lining. So it's important for me to know that overhang measurement, to know what 24 inches is from the exterior wall lining. Okay? So that's why that's taken. If you're in the Northeast, it's very important to a lot of people. And hell, if you are also not getting a hover or anything else for your elevation measurements, but you confirmed the overhang measurement. Well, now when you write your elevation measurements for length, height, gable height, it's going to make a lot more sense when you write for a certain linear footage subtracted by the overhang versus just guessing it. So if you have damage to siding, overhang measurements can also be very helpful. All right, so here we go. So you guys notice that I call all those roof. Those are all roof categories. Pitch, layers, shingle type, overhang measurement because of ice and water shield in the Northeast. Now, I'm not a betting man, but what slope would you start with if you had 4 directions? You start with the front because it makes the most sense. And then it's up to you. You can move clockwise, okay? Or you can move counterclockwise. But be consistent. Make sure that whatever direction you're moving aligns with your general loss report, which aligns with your photo report, which aligns with your estimate. Okay? So if you want to go front to left or front to right, make sure that your general loss report, your photo report, and your estimate are all in sequence. Why am I saying that? Because just like right now, you have 2 screens pulled up. You have one maybe pulled up with an estimate and one maybe pulled up with me. The examiner is pulling up a screen with your photo report. Then they're pulling up another screen with your estimate. And then they're pulling up their 3rd screen with your general loss report. It's so important for you to have those in sequence. Otherwise, that examiner is going like this. Okay, it gets frustrating, it gets confusing. And so I keep things in sequence. And I make sure that the other reports align with that sequence. Here, as we can see, we moved right to the front slope. What was this? Even though it's a wind claim, somebody tell me, if it's a wind claim, do we still check for hail? Okay, we still check for hail. Here's why. I am telling you that the majority of those contractors that you're out there with who want you to buy it for wind are going to then come back around and say, you need to buy it for hail because you tried to repair it for wind. So we need to already in our head assume what their next action is to get the roof bought. And that's why we inspect for it. And that's what I always do. You have to study. And guys, I said I wasn't going to bring this up tonight, but I'm going to bring it up. There's a war. There's a war going on right now between contractors and independent insurance adjusters that represent insurance companies. And the war is not between contractors. The war is not between public adjusters and adjusters. The war is between fraud and truth. If you want to know what your job is, it is to be the closest thing to truth that you can be out there. Let me tell you what I mean by that. When I first started off this career, it was so easy for me to not want to be completely and totally forthcoming with the insurance company about exactly what was going on there. But you know what I did? I took the high road. I realized, but my purpose here is to defend truth. My purpose here is to adjust between deception and honesty. Guys, that's our purpose. And so we'll get back to this, but here we go. I promised I wasn't going to talk about that, but it's become a rampant problem in the industry. And that, if any, that is definitely our purpose. We are truth seekers, okay? So here we go. First thing I do is I go from the roof, specs, right, into my front slope. Contractor's right there. Pretty honest guy. He didn't mark up the roof. He didn't damage the roof, which I'm used to seeing. He didn't take his thumb. And where I have to say it's simulated, which was good. Here's our test square. I did another overview from the other side of the test square. Obviously, no hail there. Okay, and I just say, guys, this has been something I've been doing. If you look here, you're going to see Mike McCullough did not state how many hail hits he saw in a square. Do you know what that does? What's great about that is if I just put it as a 10 by 10 front slope, that anything that I'm identifying in here, if the carrier disagrees with it, that I did not definitively state or put coverage on that roof by writing an 8. But if I saw hits, I just took a close-up of them. They weren't actual hits. Excuse me. This is a blister, ladies and gentlemen. The contractor wanted to point this out. That is a blister, ladies and gentlemen. Okay? There ain't no doubt. So I just took a close-up and was like, this is a blister. But what this does is, if you want to avoid confrontation on the roof, hey, man, look, I'm not putting a number down. I'm not saying that this has 8 hail hits. I'm not saying it's 12. I don't have authority for that. I'm just saying this is a 10 by 10 test square on the front slope. And anything you want to dock, go ahead. I'm just the eyes, ears, and measuring tape. That's all I am. And so that's how I operate with these guys, because they are the most deceptive con men I've ever met in my entire life. A roofer is very good at being deceptive, and always know that. Okay. And I want you to understand this real quickly. I have nothing against roofers. I've dealt with thousands of them. But I understand one thing. If they don't hit $1 million in sales that year, that job's not worth it to them, because they get 10% off of all those sales if they're lucky. So they're very incentivized. Okay. Now look, after I was done with taking close-ups of no damage in the test square, I then moved to close-ups of the wind damage. This is a crease. Okay. This is a completely missing shingle. Guys, is this probably old wind damage? Not from within the last month? Yes. But did I lean on the side of the insured in this situation and say, I'm going to be reasonable, even though the nails are corroded? I'm going to be reasonable and still give it to them. Yes. So I don't want you to think that we are sticklers here, that we don't care about helping anybody out. We do. But blatant fraud, we are not interested in helping out. In this situation, there's wind damage. Could it have been a little bit older than 2 weeks ago? Yeah. Look at the corrosion on the nails. Now, I still wrote for it. Okay. So that's me trying to give you an understanding of, hey, we don't just deny everything. If it fits the category of wind, just torn, creased, or missing, then we still write for it. This next one here, okay? I would like anybody to give me their input on that and what you think about that. First off, I want to say one thing. Fresh nail heads. You see the fresh nail heads? Next to the corroded one? I want anybody to give me their opinion. Was that recent wind damage or simulated wind damage? Simulated wind damage means damage that was likely created by another person to give off the image of wind damage. Okay, I'll say it for you guys. In this situation, this is probably simulated wind damage. The contractor went out there and he creased a few shingle, okay? Right here and right here. However, if you are not absolutely sure, then we call it wind. Then we call it wind. And if I can help you with anything in your adjuster journey, it's to understand that you're going to run across this stuff all the time. Did he cause that? Did he cause that? Well, we just have to assume it's wind unless absolutely sure. Because You could be called into a deposition. I have a deposition hearing for Edison Insurance on the 9th of October. And so it's a real thing. But is it very odd that we have corroded nail right here, then fresh, and look at the tear mark. Look at the tear mark. The tear mark's not just like how we would typically see it. It's like a horizontal tear. But I wasn't there. I don't have video footage. And so I'll write for it. Fine. And you guys are going to run into this a lot. You're going to start feeling like you're Batman out there. What do I do? I gotta be honest. I gotta report back honesty. It's okay to report back honesty. That's what we do. But if you're not sure, lean on the side of its wind damage. That's the best advice I can give there. We got some wind damage right there, right there. We got 2 creased ones right there. Okay. Now we're moving to the other slope. So we're done with front. So what did you notice with front though? With my front slope, it went all of my overviews, overview, close up. First off, you say, how many hits do you have per square? Or if the carrier doesn't require you to state that, then you state that it's a 10 by 10 front. And close up, no damage. Close up, no damage. Then your wind damage. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, now we're moving in to the left slope. Left slope, overview. Another overview. Now it started to rain, guys. That's what it looks like when it starts to rain on a roof. Just started to rain, and they'll tell you, you can't inspect for hail. No, you can inspect for hail. You just can't make it look like hail when it's raining. Isn't that funny? You just can't make it look like hail when it's raining. This is what contractors buy into. They create all of these myths, all of these things that just aren't true. If there is hail damage on your roof, whether it is raining or not, I will find it. But contractors create this because they'll say that rain dot is hail. Okay. And so these close-ups were for me to say, hey, look, here's the slope, here's the test square, but there's nothing. Close up, no damage. Close up, no damage. Close up, no damage. And then I move in to my rear facing slope covered by solar panels. Another overview. Yeah, we see some damage here on that rain cap. Okay, this is the only area I was able to show as a test square covered with raindrops. And he's like, oh, this is hail. So I took a picture of it. Oh, this is hail. Okay. Can anybody tell me what that is? What is that? Does anybody know? He said it's hail. Does anybody know what that is? It's a blister. Thank you, John. And then you know what happens when you have a blister, John? Contractor's thumb goes right here. The contractor takes his little thumb right next to a blister, and he loves making it look like a hail hit. So you got to watch that, man. First thing I do when I show up at a job, I'm looking at a contractor's hands. Because they like to take them and dig them right into the roof. Okay, and this is from 7 years of doing this, and I got to tell you that maybe 1 out of 5 contractors surprise me and are different than this. They're completely honest. Some say 20%, completely honest, completely good people. But you got that 80%. Okay, and so here we go. We see here more raindrops. I just took pictures of that because he's like, well, it could be hail. This is all rear slope, mind you. Direction should always be up here. And then we move down here, right here. This is what? A wind creased shingle. Is it very likely that this was creased while they were maintaining the solar panels on the back slope? Yeah. But does it fit the category of wind? Yes, it does. And therefore, I would document that and include that. Oh, now I'm going to my right slope. Overview of right slope. Overview of another right slope. Okay. Here we go. We got a right slope overview. Boom. And then close-up showing no hail damage. No hail damage. No hail damage. Why is that important? It is important because I promise you that you are going to be the adjuster that the insurance company thinks was not credible, did not know how to do a thorough job, did not know how to properly identify hail damage because you didn't document enough, because you were too concerned about the fee schedule and you got out of Dodge before you properly took enough close-ups to prove your point. My point being is nobody's going to feel sorry for you because you denied a roof, but they will stop giving you work. You need to think of denials as important as the ones you approve, even if they pay less. And God, I tell you, it sucks, but you do not want somebody coming behind you that approves that roof. And they will because they care about fee schedule. If I approve that roof that Curtis just denied, then I guaranteed by USAA to get an extra $350 on that roof because he denied it. And that's the difference in the fee schedule for a roof that's 40 squares. You don't want to be the guy. Document it right and make that butthole look like an idiot, because he's going to look like an idiot because his greed's going to bleed through his teeth because Curtis documented the loss properly and he has enough photos of close-ups showing the lack of damage so that Mr. Greedy other guy could not get away with that increase in the fee schedule. You guys, this is a real battle going on. It's real. Okay, so here we go. That's why we do it. It's terrible. It's terrible. Okay, so here we go. We got roof accessories here. What can we see here? Yes. The first thing the roofer said to me when I got on the roof is, do you see this rain cap? Look how damaged this rain cap is, man. Are you kidding me? You're not going to buy this roof? Look how damaged this rain cap is. And I said, those are soft metals. Soft metals get damaged at ½ an inch, brother. ½ an inch. Do you know what laminate shingle or 3-tap shingle gets damaged at, man? You're talking about at least an inch. Okay? So, yes, we had hail, but the hail was not big enough for you to say the whole roof needs to be bought because of some soft metal on a rain cap. So we can see here, the order in which I went was, I went from roof, which would show layers, drip edge, type of shingle, overhang measurement, to front slope, right slope, rear slope, left slope. Now we are in roof accessories. Okay? Here we go. Roof accessory. Sometimes a ridge vent, sometimes a ridge cap. I want to show that because if you give a contractor an inch, he'll take a mile. He'll say, if you don't have that photo, he'll say, oh, there was aluminum ridge vent up there. I mean it, man. These guys. But here we go. Here's a rain vent, or excuse me, a rain cap. And here's another one. Okay. Yes. Damaged by wind and hail. Okay. Pipe jacks. No damage. Nothing. Guys, right here, what you see right there, is that mechanical or is that wind? Can anybody tell me? I'm circling it. It's a crease. This is what I mean. You're very close to mechanical components. How would you mark that? Look how close it is, within proximity of solar panel components. Who do you think creased that? Was it wind? Was it man? Somebody tell me.
Likely man, because you got a wind block with the vent and all the materials in front of it, so the wind probably didn't catch it there.
Thank you. Thank you, Benjamin. Yes, Benjamin, you're correct. And so this is where the whole purpose of the adjuster, guys, if I can't emphasize it enough, it's to know what's man-made and what is naturally made. Our job is to be there to navigate between fraud and truth. And guys, fraud is so rampant now, especially in the roofing industry and the mitigation industry. Guys, that is our sole purpose. We are an instrument of truth. That's what we are. Okay. So here we go. Okay. So we get through that. Now we're done with the roof components. We go right into the elevation components. And I think this is very important today for you guys to understand the order of things. risk, address, roof, front roof, right roof, left roof, rear roof, roof components or accessories, and front elevation. Okay, so we go from that risk to address verification to the roof, from the roof to the front elevation, and in the same order. Front elevation. Boom. Okay, I love how I didn't put an image next to this. Is this wear or tear? Is this wind? Anybody? Is that wear or tear, or is that wind? It is wear and tear, because you guys see how the fibers on that screening have literally turned to white, just like a shingle would? That's not recent. Okay, so again, the fibers have turned to white. That's your biggest indicator. Look at that. I mean, that to me is not recent. And that's not recent either. Look at all this. So I took these pictures to show wear or tear, where the contractor was saying, Mike, we got hail damage here. Mike, we got hail damage here. Mike, look at this siding. They do it. They do it. Mike, and this hail, Mike, this hail was straight down. This hail came straight down from the sky. It wasn't at an angle, Mike. Guys, they got everything in the book. But then they call their buddy after they're done with an inspection with us, and they say, you won't believe what I got over on this guy. You won't believe what I got over on that guy. Okay, so here we go. I'm taking the lack of damaged photos for a wind claim. Downspout, no hail damage. Why did Mike do that? Mike did that because he knew the contractor was going to come back around and try to get the roof bought for hail. Why? Because he needs the 10% on that roof so that his family can get fed that month. Mike understands that, but that has nothing to do with honesty. That has nothing to do with the claim process. So I take all these photos, preparing for his rejection, his rebuttal. The overhead door, the lack of no damage. Moving into front elevation, overview of the elevation. The downspout, the lack of no damage. But Mike, it's a wind claim. Again, I can't stress enough. If they don't get that roof bought for wind, they will come back and say it's hail. I promise you. Why? Because a roofer's already involved. A roofer's already involved. And it's taught from day one in the roofing industry. Get it bought, get it bought. Okay, so here we move to the right elevation, the lack of damage. But Mike, that photo took you an extra 30 seconds. You're damn right it did. But you know what? It was because it was the right thing to do. I don't want a re-inspection taking place where Benjamin buys the roof and I denied it. You know what I mean? I want an inspection, a re-inspection to take place where Benjamin says, there's no way for me to buy this because Mike did a good job with his report. And that's what I did here. Wear, tear, wear, tear. The white is an obvious sign. Wear, tear. Anything that they could claim. Rear elevation overview. This is a tough one, guys. Look at this one. This downspout. This was a tough one for me. Because it could be hail, it could not be hail, right? Look at it. There's no sharp edges. It's rounded. But look at how close they are to each other. So this is where I say, if it fits, do I think a contractor could have caused that? Yes. Can I definitively state that? Because there's no oxidation, there's no sharp edges from it. No. So I wrote for that downspout. I did. And it's because the other downspout had something far up that was right there. You see how this can be very frustrating. You're like, now, what do I do there? And then what do I do right there? I wrote for it. I did write for it, for the rear elevation, for that. And why did I do that? Because it fits a category of hail. You see how it's rounded? It's not sharp. It's not jagged. And so it was a tough call. That was either fraud committed very well, or that was that was hail. And so this is what I mean by there's a lot of stuff we do where you're like, God, what is it? It's tough, but when certain things fit a category, you have to, it was one of the toughest things for me to figure out. And I was like, if it literally fits the classification, then I just have to write for it. Rounded, there's the paint is still there. The it's consistent with an angle at which other things might have been damaged by hail. So you realize, like, dude, because you don't want to, dude, I got a deposition in a few weeks. You don't want to be in court explaining why your B squared plus C squared, whatever is different from theirs. So it's one of those weird situations. But back to what we're talking about, that was rear elevation. So we went from, as soon as we're done with the roof, we went from front elevation, right elevation, rear elevation, left elevation. Overviews always first. And then things on the gutters. Now, these hits could have been anything. They could have been contractor wrapping, the gutter end or seaming the gutter end to the gutter trough. Could have been any, but you'll see there, it's not a sharp hit. It's rounded. The paint is not missing, which makes it recent. So I had to circle it, man. And that's something really important to remember in this is you never want to put yourself in a bind where you completely just deny everything, because that puts the insurance company in a bind. If it's fitting categories, then it is your job to classify that as damage. But if you think it is simulated, if you think it's mechanical, then you have to do the right thing and report that. But in this case, I did not. I had these two little hits right here. Okay. Go ahead, Curtis.
Is it easy to tell damage to a gutter or a downspout that's happened a long time ago?
I can tell you it's pretty easy to tell if it's hail or not for a gutter or a downspout, because usually a gutter or a downspout is damaged in one of two ways. It is damaged by hail or it is damaged mechanically. It is damaged by somebody else. Now, downspouts are the easiest. So if a roofer's on the job, he's going to come through and he's going to use a tool to make each one look damaged. And then he's going to go through and he's going to chalk it and get it all ready for you. Your job is to take a flashlight and to see where he lied. The flashlight always shows the sharp marks that he created. If you don't use the flashlight, you might not be able to see the sharp mark created by his tool.
Okay.
That's why they chalk it for you. So you don't have, I go through the flashlight. It always points out the sharp marks. Man, we're at a war, man. It's terrible, but we have a purpose. And that is because it's Star Wars, man. It is good versus evil. There's people out there for profitable gain damaging homes. And we're there to say, no, you have to stop, mister. I love you. You know what I mean? You're even though you might be somebody I don't agree with, still love you as a brother in Christ, but you can't be doing this. You can't be doing this. This is not right. This is going to increase everybody's premiums. Everybody's going to pay for your lie. So, dude, we do have a purpose. But we're the few cowboys left. I mean, there's some adjusters that stopped believing in the purpose because you face it every day. I face it every day, and I get paid less for it, to be honest. But my Savior in heaven definitely knows that I'm being honest. So, anyways, well, guys, we are at about the top of the hour, and we have gone through everything. I think. Let's see here. So we finished the elevations. I did call these hail damage on left elevation. Do you know why I call this hail damage? Because I don't see any white fibers. They look kind of new, right? And look at the damage we had to the gutter, the downspout, the gutter. I'm assuming it came from this direction, although not big. And so these screens I did right for, but you could see how there's a difference between that and a difference between that, right? That looks old. So here we go. Now, this is the affected area. She was claiming this was water damage. Guys, you tell me, is that water damage? This is a good one for you.
Doesn't look like water
It's
damage
paint
to me.
roller marks. Look at this. Dry reading, got the dimensions of the room. But guys, that is literally from them taking that paint roller up on the wall and having it hit the ceiling. Look at that. It's not water damage.
Water
So you're going to
man.
run across weird stuff like this all the time. But when you look at it from that view, it looks the same color as the wall, right? It is. And so that's all it was. I hope you guys found this whole meeting good and insightful. I do want to finish off here by us just going into the final stages of this photo report and looking at these. First thing you're going to do, I recommend creating templates in your notes for things. You can do that by going to add and type in whatever you want. But I got one that I use for pretty much everything. It says overview of the insured risk. The following shows, wind damage, whatever. And then I got this other one that just says what property I inspected at. And then I got this other, and then, so you're just going to go through. One layer with drip edge. Okay. Then you're going to say 25 year. Guys, what I love about this, you can literally just copy paste this into a whole bunch of other which ones. Boom. And you'll notice right there, wow, he took the same thing and he just copy pasted that. No, I'm gonna go to this one here. Okay, this is like, maybe like a test square of some sort, whatever. Okay. Rear slope, right roof, whatever. Okay, do I got one for left? Boom. All you're gonna do for this is overview of test square. Okay. Then the next one you can move to is for that. You can literally say close up, no hail damage. Guys, it's amazing. Copy that same thing into all these other photos that you have. Boom, that one already has it. This one already has it. Okay, and now for these, go back to these, and you can literally just put in there. It's amazing. That's what I mean. That's amazing. Guys, I mean, this is amazing because you're able to just move. You're able to just move so fast through these. And then you're able to put literally just copy and paste that. And now you can go right to here. Boom, boom. Guys, I want you to see how fast this is. It really is fast. I can't just say that for each one. Okay, and then guys, copy paste that wherever you need to. And then boom, boom. Right, and then boom, boom. Now that one I have to change to damaged because that was the only one that was. And this one was damaged too. And then I'm just going to copy that same thing into there. And oh, that happens sometimes. You just boom. Does not resemble water damage. Dry reading on ceiling. Dimensions of room. No floor damage. Okay, man. And then you can literally just, and then all you do is you just then press the backspace bar, and dude, you can literally go through. Make sure you got a description underneath all those. Boom, boom, boom. But you guys got to see, man. I mean, I pretty much copy pasted the same thing for almost every, like a lot of it. So you got to see that. Like, what does he do? I don't do anything special, man. You guys got to see I even use these loaded template notes like every once in a while. Because if I just learn to select multiple things before I type something and then type it, okay, that's going to save you a lot of time. All right. So, oh, I didn't have one here. Oh, what do I do for this one where it just says 10 by 10 front? Dude, I literally just do this. Okay, I think I put 6 wind. That's all I do. So like I put it in the description. I don't even have to tell the contractor while I'm out there. I just go, hey man, they don't allow me to make these calls. I just all I can do, I'm just the I0s measuring tape. I can just put it's a 10 by 10 F for front. But when you get home, you can say it's a front slope equals 6 wind. So you don't have to argue with him. You don't have to debate with him. You're just the I0s and measuring tape. Okay. Well, I think we are good now because we went over all that. Finally, we're going to end with Mike. What does it look like in a photo report? Here we go. And you're going to see it looks absolutely beautiful. Boom. And you can see a lot of this. Overview of slope. Well, what slope, Mike? That was very general. Front slope. Genius. Says it right there. Why do I have to repeat myself? If I just put what it is here, front, the direction it is, the area it is, and then over here it is generalize it as overview, I can speed up the process, right? That's all I do, man. It's the same verbiage used on every slope. Used on 4 slopes, used on 1 slope. There we go, guys. You can see the photo report was done. It's done, man. I mean, it was not that hard, right? I mean, I know that we drew it out an hour and 8 minutes, but it didn't take us an hour and 8 minutes. See? Boom, boom, boom. We got it for all of them. We're good. Okay, guys. Well, that is it for tonight. Thank you so much.